bodies started dropping one after another. Blood soaked the ground. Inmates vanished without a trace. No witnesses, no evidence. Just death creeping through the shadows. Inside those walls, the prison bars were not a barrier. They became a brand new hunting ground. A wife brutally murdered. A judge's blood spilled right in the courtroom. A guard who never imagined his neck would be next. Even the guards weren't spared. 5 went down before they could restrain him. But the most horrifying scene wasn't inside the cells. It was outside the prison building, where stunned guards stood frozen, staring at a blooded head impaled on the wall. No need for questions, no need for investigation. Everyone knows who's behind this bloody chaos. It's Ibrahim Anza. But the real question is, how did he pull all this off? And how did his story end? Grab your favorite drink and let's dive into our story. Prison is usually the end for criminals, a place where hands are bound and crimes come to a halt. But for Anza, it was just a new stop on his killing spree. Ibrahim al-Hassani was born on February 12, 1981, in the village of Anza. He had a normal childhood until his parents' divorce, the event that changed the course of his life. When he was just 3 years old, he lived with his mother, who remarried twice after the split. Life went on normally with no real signs pointing toward violence or crime. But everything changed when he turned 18. He joined the Royal Moroccan Armed Forces and quickly proved his worth, thanks to his strong build and standout performance in military tastes. This earned him numerous privileges. Those privileges, though, only fueled his aggression. He started treating people around him with arrogance and violence, often for no clear reason. He was later transferred to the capital Rabat, where he served as a guard at the military prison. It was there that the dark side of his personality truly surfaced. He was fierce, brutal of his treatment of inmates. Rumors spread that he was responsible for mysterious deaths inside the prison, but no charges ever stuck. Every case was recorded as a natural death, or one with unclear causes. His savagery got him shuffled between 3 different prisons within just 2 years. Yet he kept his reputation as a merciless man, eventually becoming known as Anza's son, named after his village. But his first confirmed crime wasn't behind bars. It was in his personal life. In 2001, he married a woman he loved, but their marriage didn't last long. Their lives became filled with problems and conflicts, ending in divorce after just over a year. Ibrahim didn't take the split well. Tensions between them escalated, especially over disputes about alimony and dowry, leading to constant courtroom clashes. In 2003, a fight broke out between his mother and his ex-wife's family. Things spiraled fast. When he got home, his mother told him what happened. Enraged, he stormed straight to his ex-wife's house and slaughtered her in cold blood. He tried to flee after the crime, but his neighbors managed to catch him and hand him over to the police. Stories vary about what exactly triggered it. Some say he couldn't handle the divorce. Others believe a violent, alcohol-fueled argument was the spark that ignited the tragedy. Whatever the real story, the outcome was the same. He was arrested, faced a military tribunal, got kicked out of the Royal Moroccan Armed Forces, and was sentenced to life in prison. After the life sentence, Ibrahim was transferred to Ait Milol prison, the very prison where he'd once served as a guard, before becoming an inmate. But his transfer there wasn't routine. It was the start of an endless nightmare. From the moment he stepped inside, Ibrahim became a constant target for everyone he'd ever crossed while in power. Prisoners who'd once suffered under his rule finally saw their chance for payback. Day after day, he faced beatings and humiliation. In the yard, even during meals. He had no allies, no protection from the guards, who also remembered his arrogant swagger when he'd walked among them. Every complaint or attempt to defend himself just landed him in solitary confinement. It was like the whole place had silently agreed to break him, body and soul. But Ibrahim wasn't the type to just take it. Instead of accepting his fate, he started plotting his escape. He wasn't just any inmate. He knew every inch of that prison, every entrance, every exit, every security routine inside out. All he needed was the perfect timing and one weak spot to exploit. And after 2 brutal months, he found his golden ticket. One day, a new guard arrived, fresh, unfamiliar with the prisoner's face cases, clueless about the security quirks. This was his golden chance. With help from 3 guards still loyal to him, Ibrahim was smuggled into the office of an absent officer. There, he threw on a crisp uniform and oversized black sunglasses, trying hard to look like an officer on special assignment. He marched straight up to the new guard, fixing him with a sharp look. "Come with me, we have orders outside the prison." The new guard didn't dare question or hesitate. He just fell in line behind Ibrahim like a personal escort at the main gate. Guards were used to officers coming and going, so when Ibrahim stood tall and snapped, "Open the gate, don't waste my time," no one batted an eye. The gate swung open, and Ibrahim walked out, cool as you please. 10 minutes down the road, walking briskly, Ibrahim turned to the guard. "How you holding up, Kamal?" The guard stammered, "Fine, sir." Problem was, his name wasn't Kamal, but he was too scared to correct him. Ibrahim pressed, "Where are you from, Kamal?" Finally, the guard had to speak up. "Excuse me, sir, but I'm not Kamal. My name is Abdurrahman." Ibrahim feigned surprised, then shrugged coldly. "Oh, my mistake. Thought you are my new aide." "Well, get back to the prison immediately. Back to your post." Without a second thought, the guard turned and sprinted back toward the prison, gasping for breath, trying to process what just happened. Meanwhile, Ibrahim, one of his buddies, was waiting nearby in a car. Having watched the whole brilliant con unfold, he jumped in, and they sped off toward a remote coastal area to lay low. Think about it. If you were that new guard, would you have spotted Ibrahim wasn't the real deal? Greatest prison escape you've ever heard of. Or have you seen sneakier tricks? After an intense manhunt, Ibrahim was captured again and rushed to courtroom, where he was sentenced to death by hanging. But the beast wasn't ready to die just yet. The moment the judge delivered the sentence, Ibrahim shoved his guards aside and bolted from the courtroom. He darted through the halls, shoving past anyone who tried to stop him, but finally found himself cornered in the courtyard, leading to the main exit. With no way out, he had only one choice left: fight to the bitter end. In a blind fury, he smashed a window with his bare fist, grabbed a jagged shard of glass, and lunged at the guards closing in. One officer stepped forward to restrain him, but Ibrahim was faster, moving like a lethal shadow. He landed 4 lightning-fast stabs before his opponent could even cry out. One slash to the neck ended him instantly. The brawl raged on, leaving 5 more officers gravely wounded before they finally overpowered him. Instead of sending him back to his cell, the judge threw protocol out the window. He ordered Ibrahim dragged straight back into the courtroom and resentenced him to death. This time with 0 delay. Why? They wanted no appeals, no loopholes, just a permanent end. He was transferred to Gunira prison, where he'd briefly served as an officer for 2 months only. No enemies there, but Ibrahim didn't need enemies. Despair, rage, and madness had consumed him. Convinced hell awaited him, he stopped care about consequences. Using old connections, he exploited a legal loophole to delay his execution, claiming he had a contagious disease needing medical monitoring. The stunt bought him 2 extra months. But he wasn't the only schemer in the prison. A guard named Hassan exposed the plot and filed a report. Ibrahim was hauled in for brutal interrogation to uncover his accomplices. He confessed nothing. After a month of torture, they dumped him back in his cell. But Ibrahim didn't forget the betrayal. When he learned Hassan was the snitch, he vowed revenge. He had friends smuggle a knife inside, hidden in a sandwich delivered by a woman posing as his ex-lover. Prison staff let him take it for 2 reasons. First, because he was already on death row with execution imminent. They figured letting him eat couldn't hurt. Second, because the guard inspecting the food wasn't on it. The next day, during rec time, Ibrahim slipped into Hassan's quarters. Before the guard could react, Ibrahim grabbed his head and slit his throat ear by ear. But it didn't end there. Another guard walked in, saw the horror, and screamed the alarm. In an instant, the place turned into a bloodbath. Before the guards grasped what was happening. They were wading through their own blood. 5 guards fell one after another before they stopped him. The injured guards rushed to the hospital. One remained in a coma for a full year. When he finally woke, his first question was, is Ibrahim still alive? Terror gripped the prison. In just 8 seconds, Ibrahim Anza had managed to stab 5 security officers. This was confirmed by camera footage, showing the moment they stormed his room and the moment he exited, only 8 seconds apart. After the attack, he didn't flee far. He barricaded himself in a nearby room, taking another prisoner hostage. As tensions escalated, the prison director arrived to negotiate, but Ibrahim refused, declaring, "If you want negotiations, bring me the Attorney General himself." The Attorney General was away, so officials begged Ibrahim to talk to his deputy. Under intense pressure, he finally agreed. When the deputy arrived, negotiations dragged on for 3 hours. By law, any agreement reached in such situations was binding. Ibrahim cleverly exploited the crisis, securing another execution delay, though he didn't realize it wouldn't save him for long. True enough, after intense talks, his sentence was reduced from death to life imprisonment in exchange for releasing the hostage and surrendering. But the problem didn't end there. Ibrahim had become an enemy for every guard in the prison, with the victims, colleagues, waiting for their chance at revenge. For his own safety, he was transferred to 8 Milo prison, the first prison he'd ever been in, but a greater hatred awaited him there. The warden of 8 Milo had never forgotten that Ibrahim was the first inmate to escape his prison, a permanent stain at his record. Quietly, he made arrangements. Officers looked the other way, while guards disciplined Ibrahim in secret. Worse, he cut deals with inmates, offering contraband or extra meals, in exchange making Ibrahim's life hell. But the real problem was Ibrahim's character. He wasn't just a killer, he was clever, strong, and cunning to a degree that terrified everyone. Anyone who crossed him backed down, even the guards. Cause whenever someone annoyed him, Ibrahim would coldly threaten, "You're the next victim." In a span of a year, everyone dropped their schemes against him. Nobody dared mess with him anymore, not even the officers themselves. Though others retreated, one guard, Muhammad, decided to challenge him. He confiscated some small goods Ibrahim sold in the prison yard and roughed him up. Ibrahim just stared at him and said calmly, "Everyone else I threatened, I only meant to scare them. But you, believe me, your life is over." At first, the guard laughed off the threat, but other inmates warned him, urging him to request an immediate transfer. However, while he hides, Ibrahim will find him. He did apply for transfer, but not quickly enough. The next day, when the guards entered his cell, they found only a headless body and a single phrase carved into the wall: "Ibrahim was here." He didn't stop there. When guards rushed him, he killed one and critically wounded another, nearly ending his life. A decision was then made: transfer him to an isolation prison in Safi, Morocco. But this wasn't just punishment. It was part of a plan to eliminate him there, either through an internal cleanup or by pushing him to escape and finishing him off. Ibrahim arrived at Safi prison in 2009. From then on, he caused no major trouble, but silently worked on an escape plan. Over 2 years, using a small file smuggled by a friend during a visit, he slowly sawed through his cell's iron bars until he finally cut through. On the chosen day, he stripped, slicked his body with oil to slip through, and pushed his head through the gap. Then disaster struck. His head jammed between the bars, trapped with his body inside and head outside. He began bleeding heavily. Feeling death closing in, he screamed for help. When guards arrived, they considered killing him, especially giving their grudges. But Ibrahim outsmarted them. He started shrieking at the top of his lungs, repeating the names of every guard present, like, "Ibrahim is trying to kill me, Muhammad is trying to kill me." He shouted it 6 times, naming a different guard each time. They hesitated, realizing any later investigation would point at them. In the end, they had to save him. But the guards who'd plotted his death immediately requested transfers, fearing his revenge. From that day, Ibrahim bounced between prisons for no clear reason, until he finally landed at Tulal 2 prison. There, his end would come. Over time, Ibrahim became a near meth in Moroccan prisons, but he was again, and many treated him like an old old wolf who'd lost his age. This wolf, though, hadn't spoken his last word. On November 25, 2017, the head guard decided to publicly teach him a lesson. He assembled inmates in the yard and ordered Ibrahim dragged from solitary confinement. What happened next stunned everyone. In front of the whole prison, Ibrahim attacked the head guard. He killed 4 officers and seriously wounded 7 others. His weapon? Nothing conventional, just a volcanic rock. He'd broken from his cell wall and honed over 5 months into a blade as lethal as any knife. During the assault, 6 bullets ripped through him. He collapsed but didn't die instantly. Rushed to hospital, he bled to death after 2 hours. And so ended the legend of Ibrahim Anza, the wolf nobody could tame. And with that, today's story ends. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new here. Catch you in the next one.